up, DCS crew? This is Carlos back at it again with the Kizer Gemini. Now, we have two versions of the Kizer Gemini on the show today, and one is the Bladesmith model, and the other one is the Vanguard version. I'm going to go ahead and discuss some similarities between the two, as well as the differences and what my personal preference is, to kind of help you gauge which one is best for your everyday needs. Now, before I do this, I want to say two things. Number one, these are both knives that have been very well made from Kizer. They're Ray Laconico's design, and they're based on his Jasmine folder. And I also wanted to bring up that this particular one right here is the green G10 Vanguard version, and it was provided to me by a viewer named Arnold Urbano. He was kind enough to go ahead and send this over when I asked him about comparing the two, and without hesitation, he put it in the mail. He sent it over to me, and I just wanted to say thank you so much. I really, really appreciate it, Arnold. So, moving forward, the Kizer Gemini. Now, I chose this particular one because it's a great EDC knife. It's a great slicer. It comes from a US designer. His name is Ray Laconico. He is on the west coast of the US. He makes a lot of really good quality folders for Kizer, and he is involved in both semi-custom and custom designs on his own, and in collaboration with people like Matt Cucciara and a few other big name designers. Now, these are both made and produced through Kizer's China facilities. They import the steels, VG10 from Japan and S35VN from the United States, and they create two versions of it. They create a more inexpensive but very value-centric model, which is the Vanguard version that goes for about $80 MSRP on places like Blade HQ, Knife Center, White Mountain Knives, and so on. And then you have the Bladesmith version, which has titanium handles, anodized parts, and S35VN steel that goes for $170, depending on where you can find it at the similar usual suspects: a Blade HQ, Knife Center, White Mountain Knives, and Indiana Knives, which actually might have this for a little bit cheaper. So you may want to check out indianaknives.com if you're interested. Now, they are both lightweight flippers. They both have ball bearing pivots. The action on these are fantastic. I mean, here's the Bladesmith version. Okay. And this is the Vanguard version. Both very, very nice flippers. Both a joy to have in the pocket. Now, they have a full flat ground blade. I'll go ahead and show that to you. The blade itself is stone washed. They measure 7 1/4 inches overall in length, and the blade itself is 3 1/8 inches. Now, this is where it kind of starts to get into the point where both designs deviate from each other. They both take cues from the Jasmine folder, but this is kind of where they start to become different from each other, and this is where the price points start to hit. So I'm going to take this out of the way. Start with the Bladesmith version. The Bladesmith version weighs 3.63 ounces. This is a bead blasted titanium handle and a backspacer. You got blue hardware, screws in the pivot, then a blue anodized clip on this version. They've made several versions, some that have an odd blue clip, some that's just the standard titanium clip, and then this is the blue titanium anodized version. Now, this version shows Ray Laconico's name, and see if I can maybe focus it on there. There you go. And you will see that it has the Kizer insignia, the model number, the steel type, and the name on the other side of the blade. You have a titanium lock bar, in all, it is a very fairly simple setup, but very, very nicely done. This is a frame lock, and it's tapped for right hand tip up carry only. Handles are smooth around the edges, and the action itself is perfect. You're not going to see any jimping at all, but I mean, there really is no need. It's just a nice natural feel in the hand. It's nice and thin, but it's not too thin. And I mean, like I said, the action itself is just very, very nice. The detent is much weaker than some of the other knives that I've held, but it's not too weak to where, you know, it's not going to open. I can use this with my left hand, and I can use this with my right, and I'm going to get the same results either way. Now, back to the lock bar insert. It is titanium, like I had mentioned. Can't see it too much in there. It's held by 2 screws, and it is removable. And I want to say that this knife, while it looks plain, I've seen versions of this that have been modded and anodized, and this is a great project knife for modding and anodizing, adding, you know, holes and different patterns. In fact, for a little while when this first came out, Ray himself actually reached out to people on his Instagram and via his website and said for people that were going to purchase this knife through him directly, he was willing to go ahead to a certain extent modify these knives by anodizing them and making patterns and, you know, resets, cuts and such for the users. I'm assuming for a small fee. So that's actually really cool. Like you saw, it has Ray's name at the spine of the blade. You see Ray Laconico right there. That's unmistakable. He does that for most of his knives that have a thick enough spine to be able to do that. This particular knife is not a very thick stock. It's nice and thin around the edges. It's not too thin. It's not thin like, say, like a Delica, which is meant to be an uber slicer, but it is very, very thin. So it's going to be nice to be able to get some of these precision cuts. You're going to be able to go ahead and get very, very close to the edge there. And even when you don't, I mean, just simple usage, you're going to get a nice bit of work out of this particular knife just by the blade shape and the ergonomics in your hand. So that is the Bladesmith version of the Gemini. Now, the Vanguard version of the Gemini. I'm actually pretty excited to talk about this one because this is one that I was really interested in checking out. And like I said, I didn't own this one. This is one that Arnold Urbano was nice enough to go ahead and provide to me for this particular review. And this version is the green G10 with black backspacers. It comes in 2 models. It comes in the green G10 and it comes with black G10. Now the black G10 version comes with an orange backspacer. If you can notice, that's right here towards the bottom. Oh, little piece of debris here. You have the black backspacer here at the bottom. Now, this version, it actually has a rough kind of texture of G10, but it's not too rough to where it's a problem in the pocket. The pocket clip itself is very nicely done. It's not the titanium pocket clip, but I gotta tell you, I really enjoyed this pocket clip. When I went ahead and I used it, I would slip it in my pocket. It's not a deep carry clip by any means, but it hides enough of the knife to where if you have to access it and just pick it up, it's just, you know, just basically here on up. It's a very small amount of the knife that you're going to be able to see whenever you're carrying it, but you're going to have an ample opportunity to go ahead and grab it and present it whenever you need to use it. So the green model is model V3471-A2, and I feel personally it looks more like the Jasmine design because while it doesn't have titanium handles like the Jasmine design, it actually has stripes. If you notice, it has those 5 stripes. That's very reminiscent of the design itself that originally came from Ray Laconico. Now, it has G10 scales with steel liners, and let me see here if they show. Let me see if they can show, but I'm trying to get a nice angle here to show whether they are skeletonized or not, and there they are. They are skeletonized. You see the holes in there. Now, the lock itself is a liner lock. It's not like the Bladesmith version that has the frame lock. It is a liner lock. And as you can see, it's nice and positive. It's a great light EDC folder. And now, as far as this one is concerned, the weight on the Vanguard version, go ahead and put that in there, comes out as 3.6. Now, let me go ahead and try that one more time. There you go, 3.6 ounces. The blade dimensions, excuse me, are actually very, very similar to the Bladesmith version. Usually what they do is they have a larger version for the Bladesmith models or the prime models for Kizer when they go ahead and use these upgraded steels. And then they will end up with a smaller, cheaper or more inexpensive version as their Vanguard line. Now, this version uses the same blade length and the drop point shape as the Bladesmith version, but it uses VG10 steel and it's slightly thinner as far as the blade stock. Now, behind the blade thickness is 0.09 inches, and for the Bladesmith version, I want to say that it's 0.11. I believe I had read it as that. Unfortunately, I don't have my digital calipers here. I'd be able to go ahead and measure that myself. So they are pretty similar, but the VG10 version, the Vanguard version, edges out to be slightly more of a slicer. And that's really cool because the 0.09 is actually the same slicey, dicey thickness as the Spyderco Delica. That's actually an EDC of mine that I've had for a long time, and the full flat ground version is really, it's been known to be one of the staples as an EDC staple with VG10 at this price point. But when you have something like this that has been hardened to a higher Rockwell scale than the Spyderco, the FRN Delica, you have something that actually can hold an edge and keep that edge longer than the Delica at a very competitive price point. It's something that's a little bit thicker, it feels a little bit more positive in the hand, and it can actually perform a little bit more work given the similar good heat treats as the Delica. So that's something to consider. Now this one I actually took apart and I went into the internal parts to go ahead and see how well it was constructed. I want to tell you that this is indeed on ball bearings. And one thing I really like about this one is, if you notice, the pivot, the screws on here and the clip are not blue and anodized like this. I mean, this is a really great design. They're both really great designs, but I feel like if this would have just had the plain pivot screws and such, it didn't have to have this blue design, I think that would really attract more of a following for this particular knife. But what they did was they went ahead and they did away with that to kind of cut costs on the VG10 Vanguard version. And I'm glad that they did, because this is a really nice design, whether it's in green or in black. Now, a lot of people prefer the black one. I got the green one because, it was the one that Arnold was going to send over. And I was like, okay, yeah, and, go ahead and send it over. And when I received it, I was like, wow, this is really nice. I mean, this is a really good quality knife. And I mean, at the price point that it's at, like I said, it's an MSRP of $80. You're getting some good value here. And this is a nice slicey dicey EDC folder. So one thing I did notice between the two here is the detent is a little bit lighter on this one. I don't know if it's because it's used and this one was just brand new out of the box when I took it out for this review, but the action on this one is a lot lighter. And I mean, see, it's just, there we go. Okay. And I kind of feel like this one is not as light. I feel like this one is a bit more receptive to just come out, need a little bit more pressure before it comes out. It's not too much, but it's enough in the hand. When you go ahead and you flick them together a few times, you can feel the difference between the two. So overall, I think that they have been designed to favor more of a light switch method to open instead of the push button. This is one where you can kind of use that light switch method and just kind of use your index finger right here on the top, even though there's no jimping. There's enough ledge for you to be able to just go ahead and take it and open it, close it one-handed, and put it right back into your pocket. So that's something I really like about this model and the Bladesmith model. They are both very easy to open, very easy to operate and close and put back into your pocket. I mean, the action, look at that. Right when it does, it falls shut. Beautiful. And as for the Vanguard version, same here. Boom. Maybe a little bit more difficult to go ahead and fall shut, but a little KPL, a little bit of lube in the right spots will go a long way. One thing I did do with this, and I do that with all the knives that I pick up, is when I take them apart, I give them a nice proper lubing. I use a little bit of rubbing alcohol. I clean everything on the inside, get all the gunk out, and I put just the tiniest bit of lubrication on the ball bearings and just make sure that I work the action a bit. And I gotta tell you, it did help a little bit, but it's not as much as I thought it would be, because this was already dialed in very, very well from the beginning. And like I said, great value EDC at $80, better in my opinion than the Spyderco Delica, and that's saying a lot considering I've owned one and I've used one for a couple of years already. So there we go. Now, things that I just wanted to go ahead and talk about with these two Kizer models. I'll go ahead and bring the bag in real quick and put these two right here. Now, the Bladesmith version now has a version for left-handed users. And if you can see on this particular one, it's tapped only for right-hand tip-up carry. There's no tip-down or left-handed carry versions. Well, there's no options on this particular one. Now, they do make one that's specifically with the frame lock on this side and an anodized clip on the other side, just so people that are left-handed can use this knife. Unfortunately, that is not the case for the Vanguard version. You only get right-hand tip-up carry. And sorry guys, if you want to go ahead and use this and you are a lefty, either you got to learn how to use it the way that it is right here, or you can opt for the slightly more expensive but still just as very well constructed version of the Bladesmith model in lefty. Now, the materials themselves, some people prefer G10 and some people prefer the titanium. In my opinion, I gotta tell you, I actually prefer the G10 version, and there are a few reasons behind that. Number one, I just kind of feel like you take this out and you look at it the wrong way and it's going to develop snail trails. It just feels like that. And the anodizing, while it's really nice, that's going to wear off after a little while and you got to do it again. These little, the blue, hardware, that's just, cheap coloring on there, and that's going to wear off over time when you use it. And some people are like, well, you get knives to use them. Well, yeah, but this one is one that I can go ahead and use. It has a stonewash blade, so it's not going to show those scratches and that usage very much. It has standardized pivots. It doesn't have any color on it, or the pocket clip. It's something that, you don't feel guilty about using and then putting it away, waiting a couple days, maybe cleaning it, disassembling it, and putting it together, which, by the way, it's very easy to disassemble both of these knives. Both of them simply have this pivot screw here, which is basically on one. It's not a captured pivot. And then you have the pocket clip, which is 2 screws, and then you have the 2 remaining screws at the bottom. Oh, and yes, I also wanted to say, for you lanyard folk out there, they do have a hole tapped for a lanyard hole. So that is something to consider. Now, they are very easy to disassemble. I actually worked on the Bladesmith version and I cleaned it up for Arnold as, kind of a thank you for sending it over to me. And I like I mean, if you really want semi-custom looks at a low price, my final verdict is go for the titanium version. Go for the Bladesmith version with the titanium handles, the S35VN and the titanium clip. The titanium is rounded on the sides. It feels like finished yet unfinished. It's a really, really nice knife, and it will bring a lot of attention because it's kind of suffering from the less is more attitude when you look at this knife. It's a really, really good quality knife. And I mean, I don't have anything bad to say about it other than, you know, maybe Kizer shouldn't have come out with this version. Because in all honesty, I actually prefer the G10 model and the VG10 steel for the price. I mean, you kind of get more value for this one, and I can't really tell you without a doubt that this particular model is outperformed by more than double the price just to be able to go ahead and pick this one up. I can't do it. It's the devil in me is telling me to shut up, but I mean, I gotta be honest with you. I really do like this one, regardless of the fact that I don't own it and I actually own this version. I kind of would have liked to have seen this one, and if I had the opportunity to go ahead and see them both and try them out, I think I would have ended up walking away from the store with this one prior to going ahead and picking this one up. If you have the VG10 version and you're thinking of stepping up, I'm gonna have to just go ahead and say it. Don't get the Bladesmith version. Go ahead and save up your money. This is what, $160 to $180 depending on where you get it. I think the last time I saw it was $170. Save a little bit more than that. Maybe go ahead and put, you know, put a couple knives away and sell them out, or, you know, just save your money and end up getting one of his customs. The guy is really cool. He has a lot of really cool designs, including the Jasmine. He has the Yorkie that's coming out through Kizer, but he has a similar version that he designs himself. You'll find some really good deals on the secondary market for like the $300 to $400 range, and if you can go ahead and hold out and maybe save a little bit more money, you can get some of his semi-custom or his custom designs that will blow this basically out of the water, and you're getting a design directly from him and not mass-produced by Kizer, which is not to say that this isn't a great knife, because this is a great knife, but I just kind of feel like, I don't know, I kind of feel like Kizer shot themselves in the foot by creating something like this, because for, at least in my opinion, because for me as a person who actually prefers G10 to the titanium scales and is going to use this for just general EDC use, it's not going to be something that's going to be thumped on and overworked. Not saying that this one is going to be either, but you know, in this regards, I kind of feel like this one takes the slight edge. I mean, like I said before, you can't really conceive that this at $80 is being outperformed by more than double for something like this, which is going to cost you $170. So I don't know, if it's just, if you have this one and you want to go ahead and upgrade, just save up for a Jasmine. If you don't and you want to go ahead and get something that you can really feel proud of when you take out and you're going to put some work into it, you're going to baby it, it's not going to see too much use, or it is going to see use, but you feel that you can maintain this knife really well, I mean, you're still going to get a really fantastic knife with the Gemini, the Bladesmith version of the Gemini in G10 or titanium. This one particularly at $170 I think is a really good value, but this one right here is probably the best value that you're going to find for this kind of a knife in the Bladesmith line. And I say that having a couple of really good quality knives in the realm of the Bladesmith line. I have the Kizer Dukes, I have the Kizer Sovereign, I have the Doman, I have the Bad Dog, I have the Flashbang, and right now in my hands, as a result of Arnold's contribution to the channel, I have the Gemini. Now, I'm going to go ahead and put this right here so you can see what the sizing is on that. I'm going to go ahead and take out, as a size comparison, the Tangram Amarillo. Now, people talk about it as being the Tangram Amarillo, but I'm Latin, so I'm going to say it how it's supposed to be. It's yellow in Spanish, so it's amarillo. Now, this is the Tangram Amarillo. This is an Azo design with a Kuro 440 steel from Japan, and Tangram is actually the budget line for Kizer. I've done a couple of reviews on some of their models. This is a smaller version that I was just dying to get. It's got a deep carry clip, it's got a nice short blade, very slicey dicey, and great quality materials, as you can see. Difference in blade length and the handle length between the two is pretty substantial, and it's pretty obvious. Go ahead and show this guy right here. This is a USA made Kershaw Knockout with an aftermarket clip from MXG. That's from the, I want to say it's a USA made blade version. This is the black washed M390 steel, the subframe lock and blue frame for the Kershaw Knockout. And as you can see here, let me see if I can get slightly better look on this, so you can see what the difference is as far as the aesthetics. There we go. Okay, as you can see, the frame itself is a little bit longer, and then the knife blade, it's not too much longer than, I want to say it like this here. The cutting edge is not too much longer. The blade itself is not too much longer than the actual Gemini itself. Go ahead and bring out the Bladesmith version. So it's a nice full house of good quality folders. I mean, you cannot go wrong with any of these. And ironically, it's actually cascading down in, or cascading up in value. You have $80. You have about 110 plus the 25 or so, or 28 or so for the deep carry clip. So I don't know, 135. And you have up to 170, 180 with the Kizer Gemini. All three very good value folders. I feel like this is one that's going to get a lot of use. It's nice and slicey, but that's not the topic of discussion for this particular review. The review is on these two. And yeah, you're going to get a good quality blade with either one. I love them both. But if I had to choose, here it is. This would be my choice right here. This would be the Gemini. It's a Ray Laconico design. He also puts his, he puts his name right there at the spine of the blade. And so there you have it. That is the tale of two Geminis, I guess a spy versus spy, and which one comes out on top. And in this case, for me, that's the one that comes out on top. Now, for you, it might actually be this one. In all honesty, you get either one, and you, my friend, are going to love it. You're going to enjoy it. I guarantee it. They're great knives. You're not going to go wrong with either one. And I mean, I'd be hard pressed to tell you that either one is not the epitome of a good quality, slicey, dicey EDC knife. It's great ergonomics, great blade shape. You know, you're getting 7 1/4 inch overall length on both of them. The blade length, I mean, whether it's S35VN or VG10, is going to be 3 1/8 inches. You have the Vanguard version at 3.6 ounces, and then you have the titanium Bladesmith version at 3.63 ounces. The action is perfect on both of them. There's no jimping because they're nice and simple. They're not going to slide out of your hands anytime soon. And like I said, just overall, great designs, great execution by Kizer. And, you know, I got to thank Ray Laconico for even, you know, allowing something like this to go into production for Kizer, and through them, it really shows the quality of his work. And be sure to go ahead and check out some of his other stuff. He does have a Masteroff exclusive. It's called the Keen, that was released, and I believe it's still going to be available. It's available in limited quantities. They go ahead and they have drops, and then it sells out, and then it comes back. So go ahead and check that out from Ray. He's a really nice guy, and he's a dog lover. And that's basically it, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in to Daily Carry Solutions today, into my rant about the Kizer Gemini, both the Bladesmith and the Vanguard versions. If you like what you saw, feel free to hit subscribe. If you have any questions, feel free to go ahead and reach out to me at dailycarrysolutions.com. You can use the contact me page on my website, or you can reach out to me and you know, communicate with me on Instagram at Daily Carry Solutions, where I go ahead and I share some of my you know, more intimate life, you know, with my dog at Gaston_AKA_Chunk. You'll see some pictures of him. You'll see some of my non-knife related material. You'll see some knife related material, and you'll see on there, if you're my friend, that I will also post whenever there is a YouTube update, and I have stuff like this that's available for people to watch. Thank you so much for watching. This is Daily Carry Solutions. This is the Kizer Gemini. Both winners in my eyes, but personally, this guy takes the cake, the Vanguard version. Remember, if you EDC, think of DCS. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Thank you to Kizer for making these awesome, awesome knives, and I hope to see you all again next time. In the meantime, take care.